Hello, my name is Bernie Sanders. I'm from the year 2040, and I have seen some things. Now, I am here talking to a very good friend of mine. He is actually almost me. This is Beanie Sanders. Beanie, please introduce yourself.
So my name is Beanie Sanders, and I'm
Beanie.
almost the exact same as Bernie Sanders from 2040, but I additionally am comprised of a pun and of modernity. I'm not from the future. I'm not a time lord.
No, I understand exactly what you mean. The Bean is very funny. It is a very good pun. I like it.
I'm not to also be confused with Tim Pool. That man is a disgrace. He defends indefensible ideas. I defend defensible ideas.
And
that is the
I
major
hear he
distinction of
has
legitimacy.
another face under his beanie. I hear he has two faces.
I've heard about that, and I'm not surprised to hear that he has two faces. Under my beanie, I can assure you all that exists are very good ideas.
Yes, these are all good ideas, and only good ideas are going to be discussed by us. Any ideas that are not good are not going to be here. So, Red Sickle
and if
99,
we don't discuss them, then they're not good
thank you
ideas.
so much for saying how amazing this is, Red Sickle 99. I appreciate your appreciation of our amazement.
And let me also say that it is a pleasure to finally be able to talk to myself without looking crazy.
I understand exactly how you feel. I have been talking to myself for a long time, and I've been talking in the mirror. I've been saying many things, and the things I say are very interesting, and I'm happy to be saying them to another Bernie Sanders.
So what you're telling me is that you prefer to make your private conversations public. In the spirit of socialism, all that is privatized should be accessible to democratization at large. So
think
our
that
conversations that we have with ourselves.
Everybody who participates in my conversations has an equal claim of ownership to those conversations. And I would like to increase the participation of these conversations to as many people as possible and democratize the conversations as much as possible. I think the people should have communal say over the conversations.
I would not only like to increase participation, but pontification as well.
Pontification is very good.
Very important. Which is why that we should configure our messaging to be as persuasive and impactful as possible. Yes. It sounds like we have pretty much everything in common whatsoever. I hear that you were watching Star Wars.
I was watching Star Wars. I've been thinking about Star Wars a lot because Star Wars is not real. However, it is inspired by reality, and it portrays very real problems that face society. So I've been watching Star Wars as it portrays a liberal democracy descending into fascism, and how it is very easy for a weak system to be taken advantage of by powerful individuals who seek to only perpetuate their own gain rather than the gain of the people.
Well, here's one comparison that I find to be especially vital and pertinent, which is manufacturing a crisis in order to basically exploit the grievances and the struggles of ordinary people. When it comes to Darth Sidious and what he was doing, he manufactured a crisis in the form of the Clone Wars, claimed that the Jedi were seeking to pursue a plot to overthrow him. When it comes to European fascism, it's all about the Great Replacement. It's all about cultural attacks on their heritage and all that kind of stuff. So there are meaningful comparisons to draw between the fictionalized universe and the canonical universe that we find ourselves surreally embroiled in right now.
Well, if you look at Star Wars, it's very interesting that literally everything that happens because of Sheev Palpatine and him deciding to do things behind the scenes. He manufactured the crisis of Naboo in order to get himself elected to the chancellorship. And he manufactured the separatist crisis in order to bring about the Clone Wars in order to consolidate his power.
Absolutely. Well, it's also a process of incrementalism, right?
Yes.
Where it's basically, when it comes to incrementalism in the real world, or the modern world, you'll find people like Donald Trump introduce an idea for the first time, and it is received as being a shocking proposition initially, but then eventually it becomes the policy proposition that is endorsed and embraced by the majority of the Republican Party. When it came to Star Wars specifically, the form of incrementalization that we can decipher and identify was the creation of the clone army,
Yes.
the facilitation of the Clone Wars, and I guess you could say Darth Sidious's insidious plot to claim that the Jedi had attempted to overthrow them. It all started with Sifo Dyas basically saying that, we needed a Camino army. Even Obi-Wan didn't really detect the malicious lies that were associated with that claim. But it's a process of incrementalism that allows fascism to consolidate and allows fascism to be victorious.
And it's very interesting
in the free market of ideas.
that during the Clone Wars, the Jedi are portrayed as being they become ultimately the scapegoat, which is why they are destroyed in Order 66.
Sure.
And the Jedi are blamed for being these warmongers, these terrible, violent individuals who only seek war and leading the clones in war and harming others. And it's why they are blamed for plotting against Palpatine in order to assassinate him.
Right, and it's the dissemination, it's the proliferation of farcical, unfactual information that allows the public to embrace authoritarianism and embrace the empire. It's only through alternative facts, it's only through fake news that the Republic in Star Wars embraces the dictatorship of Darth Sidious of the Empire, much like in Donald Trump's case in the United States, as well with a lot of the ascendant emergent fascist leaders in Europe. They are also similarly resorting to subsisting on disinformation in order to, I guess you could say, consolidate their political aspirations as well. A lot of parallels to be derived from these things.
Yes. I had a point. I forgot it. I lost my train of thought.
I think that we are in virtual agreement, and it may not have to do only with the fact that our names are so similar, but our ideologies are symmetrical as well.
What
would changeable?
How would you label your own ideology currently?
Well, for me personally, identify as an actual democratic socialist. I would say Bernie Sanders and not Beanie Sanders is more of a social democrat.
Yes.
As far as what his policy positions are. For me, I do believe in workers owning and seizing the means of production.
Absolutely. All right. I am a little bit to the south of you, I'd say. I agree to the ideas of anarcho-syndicalism. I think that those are some very powerful ideas. I don't like the words of a lot of these hard ideologies. They are very scary to people, and that is why generally to people who are not in the know, I call myself a classical libertarian.
That's very so classical libertarian. I would assume that you probably have lot of reverence for the syndicalism that was experimented in the early 20th century in Spain, like Catalonia and all those kind of. Right, okay.
I actually have a Catalonian flag on my bedroom wall right now.
That's wonderful. The only thing I wish that experiment had been allowed to prolong itself a little bit more. That would have been very actionable. Yeah,
absolutely.
Unfortunately, as you know, I'm sure if you're that invested in that specific ideology, you know that the communists, that civil war really impeded on, I guess, whatever kind of.
Well, it was the communists and the fascists who both wanted to further their own power and interests, and the fascists ended up succeeding and conquering Spain.
They did. And that was probably the only point in history where both you and I had wished that the Republicans had won. Because the Republicans
I understand the joke, however, I would like to counter with the Irish.
Sure. The nationalists won the Civil War. Oh, yes. You're referring to, the Irish, yeah. But but it's very unfortunate that I guess you could say the social experiment of anarcho-syndicalism in Spain was cut tragically short.
Of course,
And
the
we were able to extract some meaningful conclusions from that, which is you can demonetize a society and you can rid a society of its bureaucracy and its hierarchy.
and labor vouchers are entirely usable, and the workers will have the ability to control the means of production. If the employers all leave, there will not be just nothing. The workers will be able to functionally carry out what is required in order to maintain the various enterprises.
In a lot of ways, yes. I believe, what was it, the productivity was doubled in some as far as some metrics are concerned, 30 to 50% as far as some other metrics are concerned. I believe that the only shortcoming that was really identified was, what was the famous quote, that despite all of the industrial might that was able to be mustered in Catalonia, apparently the industrial might wasn't useful enough to even construct, what was it, like one rifle in order to oppose external threats.
That might very well be the case.
But at the same time, there are meaningful, useful things to extract from that social experiment at the same time.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that society or civilization should really dislodge or divest itself
and
from
I
altogether.
don't think it is necessary to measure a society's successfulness by the number of guns it's able to make.
Well, at the same time,
yeah, I understand.
needs-
Functionally and experimentally, the number of guns you possess is absolutely incredibly necessary to your successfulness.
Sure. Basically, fighting back externalized threats and all that kind of stuff. It can be useful to the success and the proliferation of a society. But I think there are some meaningfully positive things to extract from that social experiment as well. Sorry, excuse me. All of a sudden, I was talking like the Good Samaritan and not Beanie Sanders.
I understand. I like voices. I like doing my voices. I recently had a voice that was named Klaus, where I was I'm assistant directing a stage play that is going to be performed over Zoom right now for my old school, and there is a character who is this old diner owner, and I was reading for him and decided to be Klaus, and I made Klaus very obviously used to be in Germany and was very obviously not a member of the good side. It was
absolutely.
very entertaining.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
I
some
love
very-
it doing these things, and I love saying the words, and the words are so much fun to say in this voice, and it is so much fun.
Klaus, get back in the cage. You know what
I
you
have some.
did.
Oh no, that's utterly delightful. It's completely magnificent. I have some very, very scandalous and very controversial information about the Good Samaritan who I share a platform with that may introduce you or that may
Interesting.
interest you.
I
He
would
has
be
not been
delighted to hear.
compared to Klaus, but recently on a different Facebook group, he submitted a selfie asking the person who responded next to give him a profession, and that person said that his next profession should be Santa Claus because
Santa
he has
Claus.
such a robust and voluminous beard. So while you may correctly derive comparisons to Klaus, apparently the Good Samaritan derives actionable comparisons to Santa Claus.
Ah, yes.
And I find that to be
Santa
very interesting.
Claus, the great bearded comrade who distributes the coal to those who do not need it and the gifts to those who do. I very
Free
much
stuff, right? It's
appreciate.
entitlements to children. It's socialism for children.
Yes.
It's basically not tax though. That's what really differentiates itself from
Although
actionable
my
socialism.
one issue with Santa
No funding.
Claus is that I wish his elves were unionized. I think his elves
absolutely.
deserve to have the help of the IWW.
There is clearly an indefensible hierarchy that has been deployed in the North Pole that needs to be eliminated and obliterated as soon as possible.
I
And I feel
disagree.
as though
I
proliferating-
think that Santa Claus is very fair, and he treats his elves very good, and he should have all of the proceeds of the labor of the elves, and the elves should be grateful that they are employed by Santa Claus.
Klaus, I will tell you one more time to get back in the cage, we will hear no more of this nonsense.
But
Well, if it's okay, I would like to intervene as well. I'm Dr. Jordan Peterson, and the thing that Santa Claus really undermines and seeks to sabotage is the power of the individual. And I believe that if no worker is able to overpower Santa Claus in the free market of ideas, then they don't deserve to have their willpower recognized or implemented on any actionable policy framework. So if they can't tyrannize Santa Claus, then Santa Claus deserves the tyranny that he has over the elves.
Jordan Peterson, how many times have I told you to get out of my mashugana? There are
It doesn't matter how many times.
There are too
I'm
many.
an
I do
overmunch.
not wish to hear your little mousy voice. Mickey Mouse does the mouse enough.
No, I think you're confusing me with the singer of Yes. I'm more sufficiently compared to Kermit on a frequent basis. But it doesn't matter how many times somebody challenges me. All that matters is when somebody challenges me if they're able to defeat me, because that's the power of the individual. And I'm not saying that I'm some kind of Ubermensch or some kind of Randian hero, but it really comes down to willpower and whether or not somebody's struggles have facilitated and
the elves
manifested
are
their
the weak
exceptional.
ones, and they should submit to the strong will of the Santa.
Klaus, Santa is a tyrant. You will get back to scrubbing. And Jordan Peterson, I would be delighted to let you know that I saw a fabulous video of Kermit the Frog. No. Klaus is coming in. Kermit the Frog and talking to Oscar the Grouch. And it's
Okay, well, what about me? I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm a Time Lord. I mean, I can argue anything at any point in time.
Ben Shapiro, get back to AOC's feet. You are not.
Well, I would. I could do things simultaneously. It's called double penetration.
I saw the fantastic debate of Jordan Peterson and Slavoj Žižek, and it was overlaid with Kermit the Frog and Oscar the Grouch.
Well, thankfully, Slavoj Žižek.
Yeah.
Where are the Marxists? Where are the Marxists? Jordan Peterson. Where are the He still has not answered my question. I would like to take this opportunity to ask Jordan Peterson himself. Where are the
I
Marxists?
would like to disagree. I think that actually, hypothetically, if that were true, that would not be the case. And also, where is AOC and why will she not send me her feet pics?
Well, apparently, AOC has not been able to disclose her location because she had a close encounter when the radical insurrectionists tried to storm the
They
Capitol.
were Antifa. It was the Antifas, and those Antifas are the ones who breached the White House.
They were. You can clearly tell by the facial hair that they were able to grow.
You could
That
tell
must have
by
been
their
Antifa.
Camp Auschwitz staff t-shirts that they were most certainly Antifas. They could not possibly be people that would like me.
It
Donald,
must have been subterfuge.
What are you doing here, Donald? I told you to never call me again. Donald, you are very, very not good, and I do not like you. I think
I must
you
say-
deserve a spanking.
I have also said that Donald Trump may not ever come here again. Unfortunately, I was referring to a different orifice than you appear to be referring to in this conversation.
Donald, I think that you should very much fuck off. If you could, Donald. I could not agree more. This place smells terrible. There's not a single gold toilet seat. It smells like the poor, and you know how I feel about the poor. Yes,
Well,
Donald,
for me, I'm Ben Shapiro, and I have a golden toilet seat, but that's because I can't aim very well. When I'm going to the bathroom, I can't really control myself. I'm sorry. I said,
that took me a second. So, but Ben, what you're
Excuse me,
telling me,
if I'm
excuse me, Ben,
if
but
I'm
what you're
resorting
telling
to
me
puns,
is
then
that
there's a
you
reason why they call me
do
the Punisher.
not wipe the toilet seat. Is that what I'm understanding from you? That you do not wipe off your toilet seat?
well, it depends. it depends. Hypothetically speaking, we can like toilets or we can dislike toilets. It depends on whether or not the toilets serve our material goals or whether they don't
Wait,
serve our
Ben,
material goals.
now that I
If a
have you
video
here,
gets
I'm
posted on
sorry to
Instagram of me
pivot here, Ben.
violating and basically not being able to utilize the toilet correctly, then obviously the toilet does not utilize my goals in a material way that's beneficial to my ascension of my social platform. But if I'm able to actually, utilize toilets in a way that is beneficial to my social capital or my ascension, then toilets do service my goals. Depends on how you utilize the toilet, is what I'm saying.
All right, Ben, now that I have you here, I have a very important question to ask you. Have you ever felt your wife's vagina? Is it dry enough for you? Could it be drier?
I haven't felt hers, but she's felt mine.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. I have a very more clear and richer understanding now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We're comfortable being vulnerable in front of each other.
Of course. And I really am happy to have had...
The really ironic thing is that I have a wet ass pussy and she doesn't, so.
All right, this has been a very fun conversation, but I am going to be perfectly honest. I have a joint full of marijuana that is calling my name, and I would really like to get to it.
Okay, Homegrown Syndicalists, it has been an immense pleasure talking to you. I'm glad that we have so many nerd things and so many political things in common. You're a wonderful person. You're magnificent.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I think we might do this again. Actually, so I run a podcast and I do it every Saturday. I don't know. I might ask my co-host to have you on. I think you would provide a good third person. Like most podcasts have like three white guys all chatting and they all fill a certain vibe. And I feel like you have a similar vibe that we're missing. So I'll get back to you on that if you're interested in that. And,
absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, have a fantastic day. And also the chat. I'm sorry that we had not as much Star Wars. The podcast is on Twitch. It is called The Three Lefts Show. It is also on just about every single podcasting service. We're on Spotify, and you can also find our own website at 3lefts.news, the number 3 lefts.news. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on, Beanie Sanders, and thank you to everybody watching. Have a fantastic day.